So before I actually take you through what this technique is, I might just briefly go through with you why it is that it could be something that would be useful for you. So mental movies are really about rehearsing images in our head of things that we want to be able to do in the world around us. And in fact, there's a lot of research that says that if we're able to visualize ourselves doing something, that it significantly increases the chances of us actually being able to follow through. So if I had a lovely PowerPoint here, I probably would have had some nice references and things like that to show you guys where some of this research is coming from. But what I'll actually do instead is just talk you through some of the key points that underpins why this is such a great activity to do. So the first thing is that there's a fair bit of evidence that demonstrates that through rehearsing different images or behaviors in our head, it actually strengthens the likelihood that they will actually be something that we do in the future. On top of that, we actually feel more confident about doing those behaviors in real life, and we're more likely to actually try them. So where this might become useful is if you have a particular fitness goal or health goal, or indeed even goals in relation to your mental health, your well-being, work, or other areas of your life. The idea is that if you're able to imagine yourself doing it, picturing it going well, picturing it going right, you are much more likely to be able to do that when the time presents itself. A really interesting bit of research that looked into this found that there was no significant difference in the ability to shoot hoops with a basketball hoop for people who had spent a few hours a day actually shooting hoops versus people who had just sat down and thought about shooting hoops for the same amount of time. There was no significant difference in each of their ability to actually get them in. And so this technique is something that is really, really, really powerful. On a neurological level, what we find is that the connections that get formed in the brain when we actually practice something in real life, so actually, practice doing the behavior, is the same as the neural connections that form when we just imagine it in our head. And this is really useful, this idea of imagining certain situations, because what it can do is it gives us an opportunity to plan ahead of time for future situations that we think might be a bit tricky. So for example, getting home from work, we used to be able to leave the home, but maybe getting home from work and feeling really, really tired and then not wanting to, go ahead with your fitness plan, whatever that might have looked like for that night. Or, I know a particular situation for me is I set my alarm every morning for 7:30 with the idea that I'm going to get up and do something. Clearly some, imagery rehearsal would be really useful here. But, I'll often wake up with this idea that I'll do something, but then get up in the morning, I look at the time and I go, or I could just sleep for another hour. And of course, I sleep for the extra hour. So what imagery rehearsal actually helps us to do, these mental movies, what they help us to do is to think about what are some of those situations that might crop up for us that might make it difficult for us to follow through with what it is that we want to do. And what we need to do is be able to imagine ourselves doing the behavior pattern that we want to then therefore increase our likelihood to actually go ahead and do it. The other opportunity that we have is also to be able to think back to situations that we wish we handled differently. So if there are particular occasions in the past, so not imagining a future situation now, thinking about something that's happened in the past of a time maybe where, we did a really terrible job following through with our exercise plan. We can imagine that and imagine what it is that we could have done differently to get that behavior happening. So with regard to these mental movies, there are two key stages to them. The first one is creating the movie, and then the second one is integrating the movie. So in our next video, I'm just going to take you through how it is that we could look at doing that.